I woke up that morning expecting the usual sound of coffee brewing. Instead, the house was quiet, no footsteps, no humming, no sign of David. I searched the kitchen and the bedroom, but he was gone. On the counter lay a single folded note in his handwriting. It read, "Don't look for me, I need freedom." I stared at it for what felt like hours, my heart pounding with disbelief. There were no explanations, no phone calls, nothing. I felt a cold emptiness spread through my chest. I tried calling his phone, but it went straight to voicemail. The thought crossed my mind that maybe he had been planning this for weeks. Or maybe he had simply reached his limit and decided to escape. I sat at the dining table, clutching the note, trying to understand what had driven him away. The silence in the house pressed down on me like a physical weight. I remembered all the arguments, the fights, the small resentments that had built over the years. David had always been quiet, withdrawn, keeping parts of himself locked away. I never thought the walls he built around himself would lead to this. For days I left the house untouched, not knowing where to start. I spoke to friends who suggested calling the police, filing a missing person report. But something in me whispered to honor his words. He wanted freedom, and I would not chase him. The emptiness forced me to make difficult decisions quickly. I filed for divorce quietly, without fanfare. The legal process was slow, tedious, and emotionally draining. Every document reminded me of the life I thought we shared. I had to divide accounts, retirement funds, and shared property. Even the house we had bought together became a symbol of his absence. At court, the lawyers spoke in legal jargon I barely understood. I signed papers that made the marriage official in the eyes of the law. But it still felt surreal. He had left, no confrontation, no farewell, just a note. Weeks turned into months, and the emptiness started to shape my life differently. I redecorated the house, removing reminders of him from every room. The closets, once full of his clothes, were emptied. The kitchen drawers no longer held his favorite mugs. I started focusing on myself, taking long walks and journaling every thought. Friends suggested dating, but I wasn't ready to replace him. Instead, I focused on healing, learning to breathe in my own space. Then one day, a letter arrived in the mail. It was unsigned, but inside were tickets to a conference I had always dreamed of attending. I felt a strange mixture of fear and hope opening the envelope. The conference was in another state, and the sender had paid for my lodging and transportation. I realized someone was guiding me gently into a new chapter. Over the weeks, I attended lectures, met inspiring people, and networked with professionals. I began finding joy in independence and self-reliance. At night, I sometimes wondered if David had reached out secretly somewhere. But I never sought him out. Instead, I embraced the life unfolding in front of me. Months later, I received a call from a lawyer representing David. He had finally decided to settle all pending matters officially. The call was short, precise, and businesslike. The divorce was finalized without drama, but with the weight of closure. I hung up feeling a strange liberation I had not expected. The absence that once hurt now felt like space to breathe. I started traveling to places I had only dreamed of visiting. Small adventures became huge victories in reclaiming myself. I met people who encouraged my passions and dreams. The note he had left behind no longer felt like abandonment. It became the catalyst for the life I had never dared to live while tied to the past. I volunteered at a local charity, helping others reclaim their own independence. Each act of giving brought joy I had never experienced before. One evening at sunset, I walked along the beach, reflecting on the journey. I realized freedom is not just what he sought, but also what I had claimed for myself. The house felt alive again, filled with laughter, friends, and my own energy. I smiled, knowing that letting go had opened doors to possibilities. Years later, I would look back on that note and remember the moment everything changed. What seemed like loss had transformed into the greatest gift I could have ever received. I found strength I never knew existed within me. The divorce papers, the empty rooms, and the long quiet nights all led me to this. I finally understood that sometimes absence paves the way for true presence in your own life. And as I watched the horizon on the last day of summer, I felt complete for the first time.